under this, I have the black long sleeve, and under that, a t-shirt. In other words, I've got the 3 layers, same as if I had like a t-shirt and the shirt and a sweater vest, except I got 2 layers on the arms instead of just one. I just figured I didn't know.
This is so intimate. So the first thing I have to do is play the bells. So the viola's already in place and it's safe. Yeah, honestly. You know why? It makes me think of Brent Pizzola.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm pretty sure that's why we have it. Because
That's fine.
he left Nova Southeastern and went to like a
Hello,
private
Mike.
school on Cypress Creek Road, charter, Christian charter, something. He went there. Not a Pinehurst, something else like American Eagle. Hear the code words.
Oh, by the way, Leslie, that is a great outfit.
Thank you.
Really. Yeah, it is.
I thought it was going to be warm in the church,
Yeah.
so, oh well.
But it's not.
I really like it. These are the indoor shoes. They do not touch sidewalk.
Ah, good. My old dog, Trey.
I'll give you a copy.
Yes, I need,
I'll totally give you a
I need to walk
There are
Buddy.
3 verses, but I don't, I've read the other 2 verses, I do not know them from memory.
What the heck was that?
That's my watch telling me what time it is.
Your watch talked to you?
Yes.
I am.
And this is in case you develop Alzheimer's.
What's it say?
It's important to know that it's year 2022.
I remember being in high school and the concept of the year 2000 in which I would be 48, inconceivable.
Oh.
Inconceivable.
Yeah.
But that was then.
Yep.
That just tells you about kids.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, we've got another, I guess this is another victim coming up. Yeah.
They come to the web, they're stuck in
Right.
the web.
That's right.
So do you want the big one or the small one?
I think the big ones have the nice sound. Isn't that what we decided? The big ones have
So
the
we'll
better
use
sound.
that for the first thing?
Yeah.
Okay, the handing of the bells.
Yes.
No,
Huh?
before reading,
Yeah,
I thought that was you and me. It's you and him?
it's him, me, you.
Oh, with the same one.
So hand, play hand, play hand.
Just one day.
So make it a good one and then hand it back. 'Cause it'll go
Yes.
on the bell tape. So I just had a really nice
I
talk
should've.
with someone who knew me. I had no idea who she was.
I wish I had
If we
done,
What?
see what I wish that I had written out like I did with the Bach. I wish I'd written out 4A.
Oh. Yeah. Because that's really helped me. At least you know how it goes. I couldn't play the original violin part. It was impossible. I couldn't do the math. It's really good, no kidding.
What?
Do you want your hair tighter or just the way it is?
My hair?
No, this hair. Good? I'm gonna freeze.
All right, here. You take it. And you hold it and you put your finger there and you get the key in the middle, right in the middle. See how hard you gotta press it to get it to touch the stick.
Yeah, that was completely different.
That's right, that's why
I'm wearing the right glasses.
I'm wearing the right glasses.
Does this
also.
hat show up okay?
Let's go take a look. sort of looks like a tortoise.
Turtle Island. Yeah, good afternoon.
Oh my, you wear a hat for hat? Bob, you wear a hat for hat?
I thought that might be a little too much, but maybe they look too.
Let's see what else I can do.
It looks like the Wicked Witch of the West melted under it.
Does it look?
Can it stand? Oh, that's rakish.
Yeah, that's neat.
Keep it. It's rakish. No, I'm not sucking up or anything.
Okay,
That's rakish. I'll take it.
all right. We'll
So
do that.
after I hit the cymbals, then where
And
do
then
they
I'll
go?
take it off at the,
Back ahead.
Okay.
yeah. Well, thanks for that, Peter.
Okay.
For this, I should have written out.
2:05 already? Okay.
I like that professional look.
Okay.
So, Paul, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, I'd like to welcome all of you here this afternoon. I know there are people out there in the Zoom world. This is being actively filmed and broadcast on Zoom as we speak, and it'll be on our church website at live.uucb.org. I forgot if it's called programs or broadcasts, but if you go to our website, I think you'll be able to find it. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our guests this afternoon. The program is Voice, Viola, and Bass, and with us today is Robert Gianetti, the poet, and Leslie and Peter Bahler, who are violists and bass. I know Robert is going to make some comments after the first number, so I'll let him talk a little more about himself and his colleagues. I would like to just note that this recital is part of an ongoing series. Every month we sponsor a recital that is open to the public, and some of the programs that are coming up in the next 3 months. In April, we'll have the Stringitarians, which is a program of tunes and songs from the bluegrass, Celtic, and old-time traditions. And they're really a great group, so I would encourage you to hear them. They're coming on April the 23rd, so it's a slight change from their original time, April 23rd at 2 o'clock, a Saturday. In May, on the 21st, the Buffalo Silver Band is presenting their concert program. That is a group of brass instrumentalists. And on June the 18th, the Bitter Nasties, a folk rock band who are also really fun to listen to. So I hope you'll put those on your calendar. And without further ado, may I introduce voice, viola, and bass.
It is inevitable that the wind whip up poetry, that the rising sun raise demands for drama, that the day pulse with sudden meaning, that silent surges of energy from unknown sources stir consciousness and expression. My feet, planted on the ground, are part of the same body whose hand, in a burst of motion, can reach upward and outward into a limitless expanse beyond my fingertips, into a space felt but unseen, connecting with other motions and forces in the fullness of time and space. These lines, now freed from my consciousness, greet you at some unexpected time and place. It is a greeting not to be seen only as cast in my words, but felt in the fluid passage of this and every moment as a force flowing in a dimension all its own, connecting me to you, one to all, through vast undulating waves, loose binding bands weaving through a universe both as real and as insubstantial as the solid earth I press beneath my feet and the inviting space my fingers feel as my hand is extended to you. Thank you all very much for coming. Just a few words before we start, maybe to point to a few things on the program. There is a program that you picked up on your way in, and the way you read this, in case you're wondering, there are 3 columns. The poems will be on the left, the titles of the musical selection in the middle, and the composers of the musical selections on the right. There are 2 parts to this program, and it was designed basically in response to the Unitarian Church's theme of going into the wilderness. And so it is entitled From Wilderness to Meadow. And there are 2 parts. There's the wilderness part, or the dark night of the soul, and the meadow, where some of the selections help us come to terms with life. It will go straight through. There will be a musical interlude between the 2 sections. So, without further ado, we begin. Hat. Driving through the countryside on 2-lane roads through the hills, my hat feels more and more comfortable as the land takes shape. The sprawl of the city is far behind. At the cabin, I emerge from the car with my hat on into the broad, lushly swaying shadows of a sunny summer afternoon alongside the creek at the bottom of a deep crease in the mountains. I stand as in eternity. My hat completes the cover of the foliage. Driving back, I take off the hat in the car several times, and as I thread into the traffic, I seem to need more circumspection than the brim will allow. The mood that my hat drew over me in the mountains is being pushed away in the haze. I don't so eagerly anticipate getting out of the car here in this steaming miasma of money and modernism that needs more than the simple cover my hat can provide. Pastoral. We are like dogs to the gods of consumption. And the literature that comforted the ages is cast before the swine of technique in the writing and the reading and in the publication. We should rejoice it took such a long time to die, Western civilization. But from this chaos, what is to come? Where are the true believers? Where the new wine-dark seas? Where the dawn of common recognition? The tapestry, the weaver, to bring the unraveled threads together. All is in shreds to the lions of industry, and slavery has come again. All that can be simply there is there to be bought, here, there, and everywhere, forever and ever. The Amen sticks in my throat. Whatever time remains can best be spent in unbought contemplation, only in simple reverence for the gifts of life and learning in nature and in art can the totalitarian hunger of industry for adoration be thwarted, and some measure of promise glimmer in the rosy-fingered dawn. Shivers, fears jumping at the eye from sudden corners, peace coming apart in ruin and nakedness, disbelief that things are not what they are at this very moment, with all time infinitely regressed to now, forever. Snarling teeth and unsure footing and rotten smells, chewing the taste of contagion, knowing no one knows or cares. Anxiety. Anxiety is a house in the cold, holding warmth but surrounded by the old bite seeking bone, huddled, peering out through fogged windows, hoping the fuel lasts, the roof holds, and that it will be possible to stand in the sun once more. Wakening. It's hard to get back to reality waking from a bad dream. The transition from one order of time and space, rocking the other like an earthquake, suspending all you know, reality off somewhere, waiting for you. To be stuck in this state is what madness must be all about. Not knowing which is a dream of the other. The pendulum. Difficult to imagine its first slow swings, sometimes years in the making, then growing shorter and shorter, reverting back to a slow sway, and back again and back again. Changes of mind, shifts of perspective, compromise, stubbornness, close, stifling arcs, then wide open ones, reaching for distance, then falling back. At last, in seeming suspension, motionless, in a rapid and obliterating flutter that, like a hummingbird's wings, denies any show of movement at all and defines the sum of all assurance. The harrowing. The log-sided chimney came down today. It looked sound to the glancing eye, but its insides were rotten to the touch. A weathered, stately totem at the side of the cabin, drenched in summer's rains and dried brittle in the fall winds and many a winter's stare. The carpenter delivered the quietus, tearing off some black shaded pieces and revealing the hidden sepulcher within, the accumulated moisture, wet particle board and crumbling studding, pieces of log siding surrendering to the rough surgery of his hands. The chimney was soon down, its broken remains irreverently tossed on the ground among the decaying leaves, their once remarkable autumn colors dulled and diminished, occasionally lifted by the chilling wind across the bare, unobstructed space where the structure had long endured. As the dusk turned to night, it gave little promise of what the carpenter said he would raise anew in that dark, empty space at the break of dawn. All in all, my hand in the wind, a leaf waving a greeting to the swell of the sea under a sky serene. Deep breaths exhaling the warmth of the rocks, heat rising from the moist earth, secrets turning over and over, day's flood of brightness yielding to the more pointed lights of night. The big tides blackening the shore in their dark fullness. The earth, the universe, this entire world of atoms, cells, sinews, structures, animate and inanimate, all in the same limitless space, microscopic and macroscopic, our orbiting planet itself but an atom in the cell of a solar system like the countless others forming the organs and muscles of all the galaxies, a massive body, its anatomy impossible to see all at once, its intricate physiology surmised from but a tentative examination of a few sets of cells, the whole body incomprehensible in an impenetrable vastness. The day dawns. The lichen and scattered seaweed on the rocks come into view on the shoreline. In the glow of the rising sun, I again look at my hand, a waving leaf at the edge of the expansive sea, able only to imagine that whoever or whatever I am, in the scale of something larger, hand and leaf are waving in a greeting and a goodbye, unheeded and unknown. Cremation, not confined to the space and status that life's fortune assigns to the bound bodies in some hallowed ground. I'll be a cinder in your eye, heir to the air, found in the winds of the world, sweeping from smokestacks, raining like pollen, sighing into sifting time, and vanishing into the void, whispering the wonder of ultimate silence. Along the road, deep cloud-cast shadows in a bright meadow, and back in the tree line, dark depths beckoning in a tangle of underbrush, contorted ganglia expounding living mysteries of blood vessels, muscle fibers, and cells, whirling atomic particles in the vast emptiness of inner space. And then, dried, bare branches, dead trees, stick figures silhouetted against the sky, dramatizing in stark and scattered lines a timeless tale of struggle to keep from falling, standing for all the eternity they know, entombed in their upright posture and purpose. Everyday life is a distraction from the world. The earth, the play of weather, the feelings of warmth or cold, the ever-familiar sights and sounds I seek to capture in the grip of my pen, the smells of the seasons, the taste of the elements of the universe in a bowl of food, the quaff of thirst with water rushing through the streams and oceans of the globe and on through my body, everything turning in and on itself, unavailable to reason, to the sense of total reality. Flashes of color that only my species' spectrum perceives, as if I were only a cell in a larger body, impossible to see, looking up to, never down, upon the mystery that sometimes yields to stunning thought and expression, ordered in art amid the twists and tangles of inescapable incomprehension. A dog and his master. If a dog can go only so far, never beyond a human's blissful mental age of 2 or 3, bred and trained in his routine, and connected to pack or family, happy in domestication, unless deprived of loving attention or food. How much more are we bound to contemplate his master leashed, his evolution extending only so far, checked at the edge of sustained contentment, pulled back into familiar human ways, warfare, competition, cruelty, deceit, gripped by the gnawing suspicion that perhaps he can be looked upon as he looks upon his dog, conditioned to accept the brief, uncertain time, the limited perception and awareness neither he nor his dog can run beyond. Prospero. Between the forgotten swaddling at birth and tender mercies offered in the drift into death is a raging contest between noble commitment and the simple joy of indulgence. And as we can no longer recall our wordless joy at birth, so will any stated pride of purpose in life unravel inarticulately in death. Vigorous in his powers, Prospero renounced even the magic of his books, high-minded purpose yielding to the truth of time's passage. Brief joy bookended by birth and death. How to live is always a question of the moment that cannot wait on an unknown and final answer, particularly in spring. cast-offs. There comes a time to cast off society's tights, its cap and bells, and don a baggy cape, loose in the fullness of years. Nothing else will suit. A threadbare fabric spun off the ordained loom is what freedom and wisdom allots. Fitting, too, that in due time it all unravels and becomes undone, slipping from its wearer, its threads separating in the winds and the vastness. Moonrise on the creek. The moon suddenly shone so bright on my face in the night, it blinded me in ritual light. I cast off my clothes and walked out naked in its gaze. It shone upon me as it shone on everything else that lies or walks upon the earth, an earth illuminated as in dreams or emotions. In the moon's gaze, the earth took on a timeless glaze of shadows and of silver, as did I, alone and unaccommodated, enfolded by the sky, soundless and sustained. New Year's Eve. The round of the year has come again, and the events of the past 12 months can be tucked away again in the trunk in the attic. There is no clasp on that trunk, but it is not needed, since it is seldom opened. And when it is mostly to stuff more in than to take something out. What's in there mostly stays there, getting musty, crumbling, decomposing. When something does come out, like an old army uniform, it doesn't fit anymore. There's a pattern here of putting things and thoughts in boxes and bodies in coffins. Yet is there more clamoring for revelry still in the open air outside, where there is no need to tuck away the past or to wonder about the future, all reducing itself to an eternal present that consciousness may again someday vainly try to capture and save. Grip. In the grip of age, a choice presents itself: to soak up the world like a sponge, or to squeeze it out, or perhaps learn to do both in a rhythm like breathing, in the inspiration and expiration of all things, till the grip, unable to squeeze, fully opens to whatever is. Winter vision. Winter trees, their leafless branches brittle as thinning hair, open the view from the path, exposing the bare hills beyond, now visible in the distance. Summer's cover of billowing, dense green lushness has given way to gray, bony shapes, the chisel of biting air, the sculpture of the cold. The scant light parceled out in the shortened day makes precious the blush of color on the rosy cheeks of a sunrise, beckoning across the vacant landscape, arousing my ardor, leaving a lust to continue the journey through whatever remains of the day. Morning walk. Leaving committee rooms and their lives behind, I have seen men get up in illness or exhaustion, unmindful and vacant of awareness, as they slipped away from the noise and commotion, turning their backs and walking out to sink into the darkness, the silent stillness of winter graveyards. Many a morning, multitudes of stone markers emerge in the dawn to greet me, solitary as I walk my dog, bounding with excitement through the deep snow. We sense the sun rising and keep moving through the lifting darkness and the cold open air above the covered earth. Lips. In the dusk of a pale gray day on a winter walk in the park, I came upon the trunks of several small trees stretching across the top of a chain-link fence around a ball field. Where they touched the fence, their bark seemed like lava that had once flowed over the rail and was now hardened in distended flaps, lip-like, pursed tightly over the cold metal. Summer's shade had hidden those lips, veiling their grip as the treetops swayed to find some opening to the light. How easily missed on a stroll, were it not now for the leafless winter branches, the bare spaces, exposing those lips in their determined kiss. Chapel in the woods. Unexpectedly, the path through the forest opens to reveal warm shadows on the walls of the nearby wooden structure. So unlike the cold stone and spiked spires of cathedrals and basilicas. In the turn of the seasons, from softly surging spring through summer's press and fall's slow surrender to the waiting winter light, the low belfry responds to the attention of the standing trees, setting them at ease in their vigilance. The chapel's portals invite entry into an embrace of shelter shaped from the living earth, beckoning rest on the wooden benches, so unlike the cold slabs on which lifeless effigies lie and stare mercilessly from atop the tombs in Gothic caverns, heedless of the seasons and their glory. revelation. Slowly sliding through the silent shallows, seemingly stalking, a snake lifting its head above the rocks. Without turning to look, it sees me and stops, stone still. My eyes sweep over its form as it unfolds its wings, its brightening hue going from gray to blue. A heron lifting itself high above the laurels and into the light.
I want to thank Robert again, our poet, and Leslie and Peter, our musicians, for sharing their work with us this afternoon. I want to point out that this performance has been recorded live on Zoom, and it will be on our church's website at live.buffalouu.org if you want to see it later or tell any friends about it. I'd also like to invite you to stop at the table as you're leaving out the door to take a look at some of Robert's books. He brought several of his books of poetry here, and they are available for purchase. Again, this is part of a series of performances every month in the church here on Saturday afternoons. The next one is going to be on April the 23rd. The Stringitarians will be here, which is a group that plays stringed instruments with songs from the bluegrass, Celtic, and old-time traditions. And on May 21st, the Buffalo Silver Band, a brass group, will be playing. They'll be doing a concert program. And on June the 18th, the Bitter Nasties, a folk rock band, will be playing. So I'd like to encourage you to put those events on your calendars, bring friends, and I believe those are also probably going to be on Zoom. So thank you again for being here, and thanks again to our performers for a delightful program.
That's right. We'll be happy to talk to anyone or answer questions or have some conversation as you're leaving if you like. Thank you.